Hello, and welcome to our parade of medical specimens, Legends of Philadelphia. These are your hosts, Tony Trove with a human horn, and his test lab rat, Johnny Zito. And I'm elective skeleton transplant recipient, Brian Bierman. You might be wondering, how come wax models don't melt during a heat wave? Well, in addition to being Philadelphia natives, Trove and Zito have a lifestyle brand, South Fellini, that focuses on Philly culture and in-jokes. Lots of times, customers will ask us, can you do my medical doctor homework? Or they want to know if it's really true that our bones come alive at night. So we decided to start this podcast as an easy explainer for new Philadelphians and a refresher for the old heads. The city fascinates and excites us, so we're hoping to share that with you.
Do you have crazy leg syndrome? Does your skeleton try to come alive at night?
No, but people have that, though. Restless leg syndrome. That sounds horrible.
Oh, I don't think I have the syndrome, but I definitely lie in bed and fidget a lot.
Yeah, I do. I guess I do that also. Yeah. I need a new skeleton. That's what it is. It's expensive, though, because it's elective.
Yeah. The government won't pay for it.
What about that dancing disease?
The dancing madness?
Dancing madness.
Yeah, I did actually just look up a bunch of stuff on that. They think it might be like when you coming down from a super flu, it's like what long COVID is now. It's their version of it back then.
It's the medieval times.
It's the medieval version of long COVID.
Yeah,
maybe they just were like too tired of being like locked up, in quarantine. They just like let me free. I just need to
let's laugh and dance.
Let's laugh and dance.
You'd want to dance if you survived the Black Plague too.
Eat this bread that has mold all over it.
That's what saved their lives.
No, that's what did it.
No, that's the penicillin.
Oh, all right. Well, but then it's also the medicine is also the cure.
Some say
whatever.
Medicine is the cure.
You know what I'm saying? We all meant what I meant.
We're doing more medical horror today. It's the theme of the season.
It's the buzz on the street. Everybody's talking about medical atrocities.
The Mütter Museum is America's finest collection of preserved anatomical models, biological specimens, and medical instruments. Visitors to the 19th century style cabinet museum are invited to explore the mysteries and adaptability of the human body. So dust off your bone saw and join us as we explore the antique medicine of the Mütter Museum.
Is it mutter or mooter? You said both.
I'm going to do it both ways several times.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
What's the things above the U?
Umlaut.
Umlaut.
Like Motorhead. Spinal Tap.
Mooterhead.
Yeah. That's our cover, man. We sing about weird bone shapes, weird skull shapes. I've never been here, but I want to go.
You've never been?
No.
Oh, it's like the worst date place you can go.
That's why I've never been.
Oh.
So you've been, Trove?
I've been
on a bad date,
many bad dates. There.
Many bad dates. There. I don't mean to be like I went there before it was cool, but it got really popular with people just visiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I was like 20. I went, and it was something like. It just wasn't as popular then as it is now. I feel like it's like, oh, of course, the Mütter Museum. We'll go look at all the oddities. But I feel like back then it was really like kind of not underground, but the general public did not visit.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't mainstream. It was you had to want to see it if you wanted to go there. You had to want to see things like that.
I like the Mutter's earlier stuff. That's what you're saying.
Years ago, I feel like it was like you had the Lewis and Clark stuff in the beginning, and
yeah.
I feel like it was like that for like the longest time, and then they were like, all right, people keep coming, so we need to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I've gone several times, and it's looked a little different, but they always have the hits.
The hits.
Yeah. I guess I like Trove. I went there for the first time in my early 20s, and I think what got me there was I saw a thing on the History Channel that said a piece of one of the president's jaws.
It was like Lincoln, wasn't it?
No. It's like Garfield or one of those like and I was like, a piece of his jaw is in this museum, and so we went there specifically to see that.
Can I touch the jaw? And they were like, no, you can't, little boy.
It is the jaw of.
I thought it was spine.
It's the jaw of President Grover Cleveland. It's a malignant tumor.
Ew.
Yeah. That I guess grew in his hard palate.
I guess like a lot of it I mean, we're not medical. It's like for medical students, but like for the general public, it's like, ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know. Gross.
Yeah, I think that is its appeal maybe to some people, and not what it was originally intended for. So
Like a circus or a sideshow?
like a sideshow. Yeah, there is like a P.T. Barnum feel to it as well, because it looks so old in there.
The carnival barkers out front it's weird how they do that.
It's a touch too far.
They have those cones. I just think that's unnecessary.
I feel like so many people just go to see some weird stuff.
That's why we're talking about it.
Give the people what they want.
A little bit of history about the founder. Thomas Dent Mutter was born in 1811, a first-generation Scottish immigrant. In 1814, his little brother died, and his mother soon after. His father returned to Scotland for work, but died on the journey.
Jesus.
7-year-old Thomas Mutter was left with his maternal grandmother, but she died from gout just a few months later.
Jesus Christ.
I know. This kid is bad luck.
It's him. It's not.
It's not life.
So little Thomas Mutter became the ward of a local businessman after winning several...
Robin.
Like Robin of Batman and Robin fame. After winning several academic awards, Mütter was sent to study at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School, where he graduated in 1831.
Nice.
After that, he taught and practiced medicine at Jefferson Medical College as the chair of surgery from 1841 until 1856. So this was around the era, actually, of the lobotomy doctor of his grandfather's tenure at University of Pennsylvania as well.
Wasn't the body guy's grandfather Grover Cleveland's personal doctor?
Yes.
And
maybe he took out that tumor.
Oh, that's true. Oh man, I didn't go that far. I only looked to see.
You got to watch our podcast to learn this stuff.
I should start listening. I should start listening.
All three of us are on it. Do any of us know what the guy's name was? What was the guy's name? We talked about him 2 weeks ago. This is we have a trivia show on Patreon. This is a surprise trivia. What was the guy's name that we talked about 2 weeks ago? Because I don't know it. I'm gonna say
Lobotomy. Joe Bottomy.
Joe
Bottomy.
It was something Williams.
His name was Walter Jackson Freeman.
I was pretty close. There's a link. Someone's writing a academic textbook, and they're gonna source. We're gonna be the source. We're finally gonna be in an academia.
Mutter's medical specialty was known as operations plastiques, later called reconstructive surgery. At the time, these were dangerous, untested procedures. In fact, Mutter was the first American surgeon to administer ether anesthesia. But for his patients, the risk of death during surgery was worth the chance to bring some peace to their agonized bodies. So he's the first guy to make you inhale ether to pass out in a medical setting.
You're really rolling the dice. I know you're rolling the dice now. They tell you that when they knock you out, like there's a chance. But back then it was like,
yeah, now it's a guy.
There's really a chance.
The guy's whole job, he goes to school just to put people under. Back then it was like, I'm really into ether.
I'm in the ether of this.
Yo, smell this.
Smell this rag.
Smell this.
During his life, Mutter collected artifacts relating to surgery, which he used as visual aids when teaching. Over the years, he built a collection of more than 1,000 medical specimens. Bones, wet preparations, casts, and watercolor paintings dominated the inventory.
What's a wet preparation?
I think that's like a wet preserved specimen. So it's like when those pieces, the organic tissue in jars, like that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Like when you see like the barbershop, the blue liquid, and they have like an ear in there.
Yeah. What kind of barbershop you go to?
Victor's in Oregon Avenue.
There were also wax preparations, dried preparations, papier-mâché models, and oil paintings as well. So he had a large collection of medical teaching supplies. They weren't necessarily oddities.
Well, yeah, some wet supplies.
Well, I think those things, again, back then, they're just...
Everybody had them.
They were commonplace teaching tools.
Yeah. Because they were a dime a dozen.
Gather around. Come look at. Touch this.
Poke this.
Poke this.
Feel how wet it is.
In 1858, Mutter donated his world-class collection to the medical college, along with a $30,000 endowment to maintain the artifacts and fund the lectureship.
$30,000 back
Yeah.
then. That was,
It's quite a bit.
let's just say it was $90,000. I don't have my phone on me.
You're really phoning
I like
it
how
in.
you look it up.
I
Like
can
if people
do it.
really cared, they don't have a phone to look it
I
up.
know, but that was
You don't even have an
that's my
app.
thing.
You just Google
That's my
it.
thing on it.
You know,
I mean, not anymore. You definitely you gave up. You quit.
I think you're gonna keep saying. I think you're gonna say mutter as well. You keep saying mutter.
I keep going back and forth.
You're not going
You
back
don't-
and forth. You
No.
keep saying-
All right. The
You
next
should
time
pick one because because now what you're doing is no matter what one you're getting it wrong half the time. If you pick one,
But I'm getting
All
it
the
right
people-
the other half of the time.
no. But if you pick one, you might be right the whole time, but you could be wrong the whole time. That's the risk.
That's
playing
why
the
I'm
risk.
going 50-50.
Let's record another version of this when you say
Yeah,
the total
for the
opposite.
Patreon, we'll say Mutter.
Yes.
Remember what we said.
We'll really pronounce the umlaut.
What year was this?
1858.
See, this is why I don't do it. It grinds the show to a screeching halt. $1,142,678.05.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
a lot of money.
That's a lot of
Wow,
money.
that's a lot of money.
See, wasn't that worth it? Just to be like, wow, that was a lot of money. We could have guessed that it would be.
There's like no point of watching this at all anyway.
I don't know though. We broke new ground with this Garfield malignant tumor
Cleveland.
connection.
President Cleveland.
Garfield Cleveland.
Garfield.
That was his name.
Vice President Odie.
It's his draw.
Secretary of State Nermal.
Everyone loves Nermal.
After Mutter's gift, a new fireproof building to house the collection was built in 1863 at 13th and Locust Streets. The College of Physicians of Philadelphia renamed their Museum of Anatomy and Pathology to the Mütter Museum.
That's
or the
kind
Mutter
of
Museum.
them.
What's,
It's kind of them.
oh,
Name
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's very nice.
How do they make it fireproof?
They filled it with asbestos.
Really?
I imagine. What else could it have been? Over time, the museum's collection expanded through additional gifts, donations, and purchases. Some museum material was purchased by college fellows as they traveled the world. They were reimbursed for each purchase and any expenses incurred in connection with the acquisitions. Ella Wade, curator...
Tax write-off.
Yeah.
What if like they fake it? They're like, oh, this is totally the missing links.
The IRS
Thumb.
is like, wait, we only count 3 femurs here. You said there was 5. I don't know.
Ella Wade, curator from 1939 to 1957, said, quote, "The Mutter Museum Committee proceeded to spend Dr. Mutter's money like sailors on shore leave," end quote.
That's what I'm saying.
It was a fuck fest, basically. Like sailors on shore leave.
And then this is like kind of lines up with the Jersey Devil too.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
So there's
He
like a
was
lot
around,
of
too.
maybe.
We did a Jersey Devil episode back in.
We did, and there was we talked about how some Jersey Devil remains were included in a museum on Arch Street, like a P.T.
But that
Barnum
was like
style.
a hoax, though.
Yes,
So like, can you imagine like going
because
like,
the real Jersey Devil's still alive.
He's still,
He's still around.
you're in a center city, like so. We should check out one of these museums. This Jersey Devil Museum, the Mütter Museum. I don't know. They're all. It's all quackery to me.
As we all know, science is a lie. and
All
it-
science.
it's all about the spirits that live in your bones. The Mutter slipped into obscurity despite the time and money and effort put into the acquisitions. During the centennial of the college in 1887, some praised the museum as, quote, "one of the most valuable and interesting collections in America," end quote. Others suggested that many visit the museum merely to gratify their morbid curiosity. At the time, the medical library needed more space. The library staff viewed old pathological specimens as less useful than the books containing practical medical research.
Yeah, but that's the draw, is the weird bones.
A new building at 22nd and Ludlow Streets was constructed. Completed in 1909, this facility would be dedicated solely to the Mütter collection. The exhibit space was designed after European museums with an open lower level surrounded by a mezzanine that let natural light into the gallery. The wood and glass display cases likely came from the original location, giving it an old-fashioned vibe as soon as it opened. The architecture, cabinetry, and specimens remained the same into the 21st century, garnering the Mütter Museum a reputation as being a museum of museums.
It is a beautiful build. It is like beautiful woodwork.
It looks like where a Sherlock Holmes villain would operate out of. It's like all Victorian, like red plush, velvet and leather, all these bones behind glass cases, big ornate drawers and armoires that are like storing specimens, glass jars full of things. And it's like, yeah, a bad guy lives here.
Because a lot of it is in, like, I've never been there, but, like, a lot of it's in drawers, and the drawers.
Well, there's some things that are like that.
Yeah. But, like, when you walk along the first floor, it's, like the description, it's two stories, and there's, like, an open mezzanine above you. So you walk along the first floor, and there's all these, like, exhibits in the area, and you kind of just are, like, walking around and milling about. But lining all of the walls are, like, displays and books of, like, human specimens and medical artifacts from the past. It's really, really interesting. And it's the last time I was in there, it's like crowded in there. There's just so much stuff.
It's packed to the gills with bones and teeth.
Despite the new home, the collection languished throughout much of the 20th century because education in the medical field shifted towards subjects like microbiology.
It's boring.
It's boring.
Never helped anybody.
No one had any use for the specimens of the increasingly distant past.
You want these old livers? These weird shaped livers? This liver shaped like Texas. You don't want this?
It's weird because mad scientists, science never went out of style. So you'd think it would remain.
Mad science never went out of style.
I mean, it's probably bigger than ever now.
That should be a t-shirt.
That should be a t-shirt. Bierman, you're right. It's probably bigger than ever now.
Now it's like law.
The government pays for it. Access to the Mutter was also limited because gaining entry to the museum required a mountain of paperwork. You couldn't just... They were...
This red tape bullshit.
I guess they didn't want it to look like they were just letting people in as a
like
sideshow. Like they do now.
Here's a $5. I can poke some stuff, right?
Yes. You're like, you promise you're in the medical industry, you're not just some weirdo.
Yep.
Oh yeah, totally.
You're not just a goth, right?
Yes. No.
You're not just here to write some poetry.
Why are you wearing black lipstick? I don't know. I just like it.
They're just constantly kicking Edgar Allan Poe out of there.
You can't come back here. You're drunk again.
He drinks all the ether and all the liquid from all the specimens.
You're making a mess.
But take a little sip. No one will know.
a little sip from
each one.
But you can't just take one sip.
He can't help himself.
No. He had a problem.
The lack of attention kept the collection insulated from modernity, allowing it to survive when similar collections were junked. So I guess at other educational facilities, at some point they were like, "Do we really need this deformed squirrel or diseased bird?" And those things all ended up in the garbage.
I would be mad if I had like a collection and I came like, "Wow, I'm gonna check out my squirrel. Where's my squirrel?" we got rid of it.
You threw out
like being a bad roommate.
Deformed squirrel.
I gave you $30,000 to preserve this.
You know how much that was back then? Oh.
So, I thought now might be an opportune time to go over some of the collections at the Mutter.
This is like the hits.
These are there are many
stuff.
many things there worth your attention, but these are these draw a crowd.
These are the sexiest ones.
You heard it here first. The American Giant, the tallest human skeleton on exhibit in North America at 7'6" tall.
That's pretty big.
Giant.
Yeah.
It's a giant.
Now, though, they sell those like 10-foot Home Depot ones, so we don't need that. It's messed up.
And the Mütter Museum doesn't even decorate theirs for the holidays, so I feel like...
Do you think they're like... They discourage that? They're like, please don't come here.
See, I think like they have
Like
to
candles.
like pretend like they're not into it, but like they super are.
Listen, if you want to do tarot readings here, we're not going to stop you, but we can't advertise it.
Then we got the Hurdle Skull Collection, a collection of 139 skulls from Joseph Hurdle, an Austrian anatomist. This collection's original purpose was to show the diversity of cranial anatomy in Europeans, thereby disproving the racial science of phrenology.
Yeah, that's a wild collection. It's just a bunch of skulls, and they're like, this person was a criminal, a Sicilian criminal. And look, they all look the same. And like, exactly. Actually, like one of them always struck me as like this person died of heartbreak.
Also at the Mutter Museum, we have 10 skulls and 5 crania with extensive syphilitic damage, many of which are specimens from the original Mütter collection.
Very cool.
Yeah, so they date back to the original.
Syphilis was
very cool.
Sexually transmitted disease that was like very. It drove a lot of great composers insane.
Al Capone as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they say he may have caught it at Eastern State Pen here in Philadelphia.
Huh.
From a doorknob.
What else have we got at the Mutter Museum? The liver of Thai American conjoined twins Chang and Eng Bunker.
It has their chair too. They have like that. They have that unique chair they would sit in.
Yes.
That's cool.
I think it might also have a plaster cast of their torso, if I remember.
You're right.
Yeah,
right.
that's on display as well.
I'd say let's go, but I'm like not into it.
Okay, we talked about this a little bit before, but the malignant tumor removed from President Grover Cleveland's hard palate.
We should put that on the palette of Philadelphia.
That's a plug. Check us out, southfellini.com. Lifestyles, print section.
Print section.
What else have we got? A piece of thoracic tissue removed from John Wilkes Booth.
Oh.
Speaking of presidential assassins, a section of the brain from the assassin of President James A. Garfield is also there.
Some guy. Why did they have that, though?
I
guess once you have like one assassin
Brain, yeah.
like piece, like you just like, wow, what's
Then it's
I'll
like,
just take
I
one
guess
more.
I collect these now.
People start getting them for you for your birthday
Yeah,
because they know you're into
I
it.
guess that's mine. That's what I'm into now. Slides of brain.
I guess maybe their crown jewel is a piece of Albert Einstein's brain.
So I wrote about this years ago for when the AV
And if you
Club-
eat it, you become smarter.
but you're not allowed to. That's
You're not allowed
the
to.
thing.
No one can have that knowledge.
They used to let you have a little nibble, but not
No,
too
they
many
don't,
people.
because it's gone now. It's half
Yeah.
gone. I wrote about this years ago when I was writing for the AV Club in Philadelphia, because I think it was like they either just got it or they just put it on display. But it was the person took part of Einstein's brain. It was the person that was like doing his
Autopsy?
yes, and they put it in their fridge, and then they kept it. And so, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And that's how it ended up at the Mutter
And,
Museum.
yeah. Someone went to
feel
make
like-
lunch, and it was like, what is this? A brain. Einstein's brain. Do you think it was any different from a regular person's brain?
It was more muscly.
It was jacked.
It was veiny. It had like better blood flow.
It's disgusting.
People from the Mütter Museum are watching this and they're like, why? Nothing they're saying is true.
People from the
Don't gotta
Mütter
worry
Museum
about
are
it.
definitely listening to this and preparing their cease and desist letters as we speak.
It's on like like somebody's skin. They write it on.
Yeah.
They're like, they couldn't
Everything
just
you
email
people
this?
do have to be disgusting.
Oh.
The last thing I want to talk about from their collection is the foreign body collection, a set of 2,374 swallowed or inhaled objects that Dr. Jackson extracted from his patients' throats, esophaguses, and lungs during his 75-year-long career.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
This is where like it's like shelves and you like open them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's wrong for everybody. The best thing is like the perfect attendance button.
Yeah.
Because like you know that person no longer had perfect attendance.
It tells a whole story.
It tells a story, yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's weird. When at the Camden Aquarium, they have a thing that's like, here's what we found inside a shark, and it's like a boot and like a street sign. So that's weird that they have stuff that were in human throats and
I think about it all the time.
stomachs.
I think about it.
Yeah.
It definitely. The first time I went there and saw it, it was the thing that made me stop putting like pens and pencils in my mouth, like holding things in my teeth.
The
Never
thing
again.
that made me stop swallowing random objects. I was like, this seems like I don't want to be part of this. And then the guy being like, I'm keeping this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have it. Come on. This is a funny story for me, not you.
It goes in my collection.
Yeah. Oh, I misplaced it. No, you
I don't
didn't.
know. I think it'd
It's
be.
in your pocket right now. I swallowed a whole alarm clock, and you won't give it back to me? One of those old alarm clocks that have the bells, and it was in my stomach, and you won't give it back to me.
The cuckoo clock.
Yeah. That's how he heard it was going off.
Yep.
And it was like, what? Why is there a bird coming
Did I
out of my
swallow a
stomach?
cuckoo clock? When did that happen?
Crazy night. They shouldn't sell heroin at the drugstore.
An attendance boost came from the 1976 bicentennial when the Philadelphia Visitor and Convention Guide listed the museum in its brochure, presenting it both as a tourist attraction and as a site of American heritage. Seems like maybe the brochure was scraping the bottom of the barrel and was like, here are the things to do in Philadelphia.
It's 1976.
Take your kids to the Medical Oddity Museum.
Eat some turtle soup and go to the Medical Oddities Museum.
Look at our poles that we painted.
We did an episode on the bicentennial. It was kind of disappointing, so if you guys want to check that
The
out.
episode was disappointing.
No, the episode was phenomenal. So it was around this time that Gretchen Warden began her 29-year tenure at the institution, a career that transformed the Mutter Museum into a Philadelphia icon. Attendance grew from 1,800 visitors in 1959 to 5,000 annually in the early 80s to 24,000 in 1997.
Damn.
This attention brought with it a fair share of criticism. When the Mutter Museum was established, emerging ideas about medical authority, scientific objectivity, and photography had a tendency to overlook the human pain of the disease and disability and diminish the individuality of the patient. The museum's outdated terminology and exhibits had a similar effect. In addition, the Mutter Museum developed from Victorian-era interest in objects as things that could be ordered and controlled. So it was like, some fair criticisms about how nothing had changed since the 19th century.
I mean, I don't know if we should get into it, but I know who's the director of it now. They're trying to kind of pull it back. They're like, we should be a little bit more of a medical museum, and there's like a whole other pushback. It's like, no, everyone should see the soap lady.
With you right there out in front.
Yeah. I have no opinion on this, but I do know. I mean, it's crazy to see that this kind of argument's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I think going back to the 90s when it started to explode and get some press. I looked on newspapers.com and they got some some favorable articles in the Inquirer and stuff. And it's like a lot of the terminology on the little placards around a museum tell you like, oh, this is someone suffering from this and this. They were outdated terms, using words that we would never use nowadays. But then at the same time, the museum was a museum of a museum, so it's a representation of what it would have looked like because it hadn't been updated.
Yeah.
So that's what the conversation was about then. I think since then they've moved on to trying to really humanize all of the medical artifacts.
I mean, there's a gift
that are
shop
left
now.
I can see you being.
It's true.
I mean, there is.
I can see going there and being like, "Oh, that's my grandfather's skull," and there's like a bunch of like 13-year-olds like taking pictures with it. They're on like school trips, and it's just like, yeah, this is not what he would have wanted, maybe.
The first time I went, I didn't have a camera phone of that. It was like that long ago that I didn't have a camera phone of quality to take photos. But
So
there
you
was
had to
like
use your Game Boy camera, printing out stickers. No, that was the other one.
But there were like no photography signs back then. I don't know if they keep that up now. So you could go and sketch. I also remember that. There was like people like hanging around and like sketching
The real
things.
goths.
The
Some art school.
Yeah, the
stuff
art school
right there.
kids, yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I do that at the zoo. I sketch things, but people just look at me weird. But
Well, you get so close to that peacock.
it doesn't say I can't. He spit acid in my face, though. I didn't like that. Like that dinosaur from Jurassic Park who kills Wayne Knight.
As a tourist attraction, the Mutter now garners over 180,000 visitors a year. The museum currently has a collection of over 37,000 specimens, of which only about 10% are even on display.
That's a lot.
Isn't that crazy?
And then they can cycle them out.
Well, they have like an Indiana Jones style vault of artifacts in the basement that would otherwise destroy humanity that they're keeping safe.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
The Mutter Museum was awarded a grant from the Pew Center to research the history of their collection of human remains and to learn how each body and specimen came into the collection.
That's really interesting.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Would you donate your body to the Mütter?
I would donate my body to the Mutter, but specifically to the Mutter. I've read a lot of horror stories about people donating their bodies to science, and then they get like blown up on military.
I know that.
artillery.
I've read that thing on the internet too.
Yeah, so
I mean, I'm not trying to insult you, but is there anything special about your skull? I mean, it's just like a regular, like when there's nothing. It's just like you're just like, oh, who cares? This is not worthy of my time.
maybe that's how they decide who makes it to the museum
No,
and who
because-
makes it to the
Well,
artillery field.
That's the thing. If you donate your skeleton, and then it's just like they're like, we're not putting this out. There's nothing. Nobody cares about this skull. And then it's just sitting in a box for in the basement for the rest. I don't want that.
Zito, podcaster.
Throw me.
Yeah, who
like-
cares?
he's got
It's like,
sunglasses on.
we got a million podcaster skulls.
What if my skull
Everybody
wears
got a podcast.
the glasses? What if
That's
So
my
that's unique.
that I
is
think
unique.
that's worth something.
I guess this isn't really. I'm not changing subjects, but do you remember? Do you remember when there was a museum that had Rasputin's penis on display, and it turned out it was actually a sea cucumber?
Yes.
Wow.
I wonder if that's ever happened at the Mütter Museum.
If they've ever thought they
Been
had some
scammed.
kind of artifact that turned out not to be the case.
Probably.
Yes,
That would
it was
be
a famous penis.
no,
I'm like, wait a second.
like it's not Albert Einstein's brain. It's some
It's
other.
Albert Einstein's wiener.
It's Albert Einstein's wiener. This isn't gray matter at all.
John Wilkes Booth's wiener.
It's not a wiener museum.
Someone should make a wiener museum, though.
Someone should make a wiener.
The Philadelphia Wiener Museum.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
How much you guys gonna give to the endowment?
I mean, they better be endowed.
They're gonna need at least $30,000 right off the bat,
Mhm.
and you're gonna need a famous president or a presidential assassin's penis to.
I bet a lot of
to
people
get
would donate their
kickstarted.
wieners to the college.
You heard it here first. Troy's gonna donate his wiener to the
No, wait.
Wiener Museum, the Philadelphia Wiener Museum.
You got to get it rolling. You got to get it started.
And you're not even waiting till posthumous. You're going in now.
Yeah, it's just Trove naked all.
No, but
standing there
it'll
all
be a
day.
sea cucumber, and no one will know the difference.
No.
No, they will now. Now people know. People see penises every day.
Every day
They
on
now
buses,
they know.
in the sky,
Unfortunately,
in their food,
in their museums.
in their museums. Mütter Museum, please don't reach out to us.
Reach out to me though, because I've never been there. I want to go.
Okay, that's pretty much all there is to know about the Mutter Museum or the Mütter Museum. Please check out our website, www.southfellini.com. That's SOUTHFELLINI.com for cool Philly-inspired merch. Visit us at 1507 East Passyunk Avenue in beautiful South Philly. Check us out on Instagram, Spotify, Apple iTunes, YouTube, and Patreon.
Patreon.
We're at South Fellini everywhere. Follow along and join in the conversation. We want to hear from you. What's the weirdest thing you remember about the Mutter Museum?
It's the weirdest thing anyone's ever pulled out of your esophagus.
Look out for new episodes of the podcast on Mondays. Stay safe, wash your hands, and always donate your femurs to science.